You know, Nathan, what we always say here on Network Special, the podcast about appointment-based television. When I say appointment-based television, what I mean is television that you used to have to watch at a certain time of day whenever it was broadcast. You know what I mean? Remember when we had to do that? Yeah, but now thanks to the internet, we can watch these kind of programs that we enjoy again and again. So it's so nice, and that we like it so much we do a podcast about it. But you know what we always say, that there's nothing more important than, and that is being yourself.
Yeah.
You know how we always say that?
I say it all the time. I say it to you all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I am, of course, one of the co-hosts of Network Special, Zachariah Durr.
And I'm Nathan Shear.
Yeah. Who's the guy who produces our show?
I believe his name is Gahermi Demary.
That must be how people pronounce your name when they say it written down, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy is one of these
spam calls for sure.
Jeremy is one of these snowflake millennials who has a very unique spelling to his name, which I admire.
Mr. Snowflake to you, buddy.
Chips will not be seen tonight, so that we may bring you a very special program. The show you are about to see begins NBC's Get High on Yourself Week. Both this special and the week that follows were inspired by a public service message, a message that marked the beginning of a new spirit in this country. In a moment, you will see that spirit grow before your very eyes.
You know, another person who says there's nothing more important than being yourself is Hollywood producer Robert Evans.
That's right.
He thought that to such an extent that he produced a special that we watched for this episode called Get High on Yourself from 1981. And I have been so excited to talk about this because I think of all the specials that we watched, this is one of the craziest. Or it makes me feel crazy watching it.
Especially since the first half of it is an unannounced making of the special. And then the last half is kind of the special. I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell.
So let's talk about how this whole special got made. And this is not part of the special. This is a background that we now know. Robert Evans was a movie producer in the 1970s. He was the head of Paramount Pictures. And, was it Paramount or was it Universal? I have sweat rolling down my face. It is Paramount. I'm so smart. Great. He produced things like Chinatown, Marathon Man, other things. Big hits. The man produced big hits. And he not only produced big hits, but he looked and acted like how a movie producer in a cartoon would look and act. He had big, boxy sunglasses. And when he talked, he would say things like, "Was it a mistake? You bet it was. Would I do it again? Absolutely." And
a real scarf wearer.
Great way to put it. Lots of big, open, no shirt could stay closed on this man. Not because he was muscular. He just refused to button them all the way up.
He was anti-mask before there was such a thing.
So one thing about Robert Evans, he loved producing movies. He also loved cocaine. He loved it so much. He loved it so much.
And how much did he love it?
Let me tell you, Nathan, in 1980, he attempted to purchase $16,000 worth of cocaine, which in today's money would be $60,000 worth of cocaine.
I read 19,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that would be more like $74,000 worth of cocaine. A lot of cocaine.
Yeah.
And he was busted by the government, who got him for intent to distribute. Robert Evans claims it was all going to be for himself. And
which I believe.
I believe that too. I believe that too. There is a great story. Did you ever read this? Did you ever read the book I Want My MTV, that oral history of MTV?
No.
There's a story about how Rod Stewart, when he was making his "Do You Think I'm Sexy" video in about this same era, I guess they couldn't find Rod Stewart to talk to him about what he wanted the music video to be. And finally they tracked him down, and he was on one of his own private islands. And the director goes to his mansion on the island, and he goes, "Oh, let's go to the kitchen." And they go to the kitchen, and he pulls down a big glass jar. And the director said, "I thought it was a jar of flour because it was so big." It was just a massive jar of cocaine.
Humble brag.
So, and okay, so he gets caught, gets in trouble, accused, found guilty, all this stuff. And then, as always happens, when someone gets busted for massive amounts of cocaine, they are immediately required to film an infomercial for TV, a PSA.
Right. Robert Evans said, "Hey, I have an idea. Instead of sending me to prison, why don't I create a week of special programming on NBC, and I'll call it Get High on Yourself, and it'll teach the children of America not to do drugs. And it'll partially star me, Robert Evans, drug fancier."
And NBC said, "Wait a second, why did we get involved in this sentence? Why do we have to do this?"
I believe the deal must have either been that Paramount and NBC had some sort of television connection, or somebody just owed Robert Evans a favor at NBC.
I was thinking that, or I thought maybe he just actually had to pay for it, like you would.
Well, yeah.
Commercial time,
Yeah, he brags about how he invested like $1 million of his own money, which I guess you could call paying a massive fine, investing your own money in something.
What's great is in the making of, and I will get more deep into it, is they do little kind of dramatizations of how this was all pitched and created, and they have a slightly different story than the one we're telling you right now.
Right. Because the first thing, well, I mean, if you're watching it on the YouTube clip, of course, the first thing you're going to see is a commercial for wine before this anti-drugs and alcohol special. Then you get to see one of the stars of Chips saying how the Chips wouldn't be seen this evening. Then there's one of...
Major bummer, by the way.
Oh, can you imagine all the chip heads in the audience?
All the chippies.
Then you get to see one of many, many commercials for McDonald's, because McDonald's also a major sponsor. How many things have we watched on this show that are just wall-to-wall sponsored by McDonald's? I've seen so many McDonald's commercials.
And let me ask you...
ask me anything. AMA.
Thank you. By the way, I just wanted to point out that in America they were called chip heads, but in Britain they were called chippies. Okay. So,
I thought you were going to say they were called Fry Guys.
No. I just wanted to,
Yeah, a little humor.
I wanted to layer the joke a little bit more.
I love when we lighten.
I felt regret.
I love when we lighten the mood a little bit with a little bit of humor. You got to laugh, otherwise you'll go crazy.
I wanted to poke fun at our former rulers.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So in those commercials, I was thinking about this. So in the commercial, it's all about kids. They're having fun and they're playing and they're friends, and then they're laughing and they're falling and they're joking, and then they're eating McDonald's, right? Mm-hmm. So how much of that, when I look at those old commercials, I was thinking, how much of that was stock footage and then also extra footage where they're eating McDonald's?
I mean,
because it's different kids in every shot.
Yeah.
And it's in completely different locations with completely different expensive activities.
Expensive activities like hopscotch.
I just mean like you'd have to rent out a stadium for this shot. And then in this shot, you have to rent out a horse ranch.
Oh, I see.
And this one, we have to rent out a whole beach. So no one's,
yeah, so
it feels like
you think McDonald's was penny pinching.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how much of these old things were they were just shooting like 5 seconds on each location and then cutting it all together, or were they like, oh, we'll just get stock footage, and then any kid who's going to eat food that's who we'll film ourselves?
I don't know, but now I'm going to be forced to search out the financial rundowns of all these ads online.
You're an IMDb Pro member, right?
That's true. Well, the first thing that we see on this special is the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler, being interviewed by a woman who does not ever appear again on this show. There's a bunch of...
He's hamming it up.
Oh, brother, can't keep the wink down. And there's all this Muppets stuff behind him that's never mentioned. Kermit the Frog is right over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And Henry Winkler is asked, so you must really care about kids because he's on this special. And I wrote down verbatim what Henry Winkler's answer to that was, because it's going to go into my theory that everybody on this show, with the exception of one person, was on a ton of cocaine.
Yeah, I know.
Here's
and
Henry.
The person who isn't.
Yes,
you'll be very surprised to know.
I agree.
Unless you're a big fan or something.
Yeah. So here's Henry Winkler's response to, "You must really care about kids, huh? Kids are special, not only to me. Kids are really special to the world, but people just give that lip service. There are 62 million children in our country, and I really believe that, for the most part, we're disrespectful to each and every one of them, you know? So I see if we give them a little encouragement and actually care about them and not talk about caring about them, their vision will become long-term, and they will reject a foreign substance that will totally screw their brain around."
This sounds like the Fonz is like trying to have a serious moment with kids, and he's just like, he can't. He's just like, and he just wants to say "a," but he can't. It won't do the trick.
And this is what makes it into the special.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of this of like people just like just the worst role models saying dumb stuff like this.
Then, okay, one thing that's very important to say about this special, and I think a reason why it makes it feel so bizarre and drug trip and dreamlike, is there's no announcer. And with the exception of one or two cards giving you facts about drugs, there's no title cards to anyone. So
right.
You are putting the pieces together yourself of who these people are and what's going on.
Especially like obviously what it means then is that these people are just massive celebrities.
That's certainly how they felt about themselves.
Yeah.
That's certainly how Robert Evans would feel about himself.
Yeah.
Then we hear, we go away from Henry Winkler and we hear, "Party, party, party, party." And then we're shown a room full of half celebrities and half children chanting "party" and stomping on the ground in a studio in what looks like a smoke haze.
Yeah. There's constant fog being shuttled into this room.
Then we're taken away from that with no explanation of what we just saw. Then we go and it's Burt Reynolds in a room.
And he looks like he just got out of a Playgirl shoot. He's like all oiled up.
He's talking to a room of high school boys, and he's really being super serious. Like, this is not easy going Burt Reynolds.
Like, also, there's like a skinhead girl in the audience too. It looks like there's a couple like just random people in this room.
It's so. I will keep saying this through the show. It's so odd. We're just dropped in the middle of Burt Reynolds talking about how he knows people who died of drugs and you shouldn't do them. And then we cut to a guy who looks like he's done a 17-year-old who looks like he's done a million drugs. Just kind of gazing at him.
He's, there's one thing he's saying is he's talking about all of these things that are a good high.
Oh, yes.
And at one point he says like, like surfing, or I'm just making stuff. He's just saying like, catching a good wave is a good high. Like, do this. He's like punching someone in the face. If you're boxing is a good high. Like,
he really adds if you're boxing.
Yeah. Because he almost says that beating someone up makes him feel great. He's like, oh crap, these are kids.
Burt Reynolds, who also was highly addicted to pain pills at this time.
Oh gosh,
Man, it was great to be a white guy in the 80s, wasn't it?
oh my lord, it's great to be a white guy now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that stopped yet.
The good times keep rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked to the Fonz. We've heard children chanting. We've heard Burt Reynolds rapping with today's youth. We are then taken to a room, and it's producer Robert Evans, a woman who looks like she is on a barrel full of cocaine, who was the host of That's Incredible, which I had to read about after the fact because, again, there are no title cards for anybody. By
the way, we should say there is no IMDb listing for this show. Like,
yes.
This thing is just the only mention of this show online is like some like kind of like old reviews like in random like varieties, but mostly like just blogs, like weird horror blogs that are talking about this.
It is like this thing has been erased from history.
Yeah.
And the guy who writes the song that we're about to hear over and over again, Steve Carman, who wrote a song called I Love New York that was used in all the big 1980s New York tourism ads whenever New York was at its most dangerous cocaine-y.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get more tourists back to New York, is in the room.
Can we say that I don't know how you feel about this, but it's one of my it's like chalkboard. It's like fingers on chalkboard for me, fingernails, is when someone who is a very famous person and they have a full name, and then all of the actors and people who work with them, like, they call them by the short name. So like everyone keeps calling Robert Evans Bob Evans.
Bob. Yes, Bob Evans.
So I'm like, first of all,
the sausage
stop saying
baron.
Bob. Like, it's like when people say Bobby De Niro or like whatever. I'm like just freaking like we're not friends. Like we're not like don't do like we're not all like I don't know. I have so many unkempt thoughts about this, but especially if you shorten someone's name. And it then makes their name sound like another thing that's also famous. Definitely don't do it. Like Bob Evans was a restaurant then, right?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Right. Forever. Mm-hmm. So come on, don't say Bob Evans if there's a Bob Evans.
Yeah, I don't know if they were in California, but yeah. Somebody
like
must have known about Bob Evans.
Like if I worked with Norm Macdonald, I wouldn't be going around going like, yeah, we hung out with McDonald's. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, McDonald's, he's a great guy.
Anyway, so okay, we're at this meeting, and
so what they say is that part of this is what you're about to see is how this all came together. Who came up with this idea?
Yes.
Part of it actually is how it happened and what you're actually seeing.
Yes.
And part of it is just dramatizations.
Yes.
And it's very clear what is dramatization and what isn't, especially when you know why this was actually made.
This is a non-dramatization part where the woman from That's Incredible is very excitedly pitching her idea for what this will all be. She's saying like, I see a room with
this is
300 children. I don't think it is.
Because there's a guy in there. He's going from NBC. Who's going? I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is gonna work.
No, that's Robert. That's Robert Evans.
No. Robert Evans is the guy. No, he's standing.
He's standing.
She's sitting. There's an NBC executive sitting too. She's saying, "I got this. I got that."
That's
and then
the
he's
composer. That's the composer.
So you think they're pitching the composer, and he's going, "I don't know."
No, I think this woman is saying, I want a room of 300 children singing this song, and they're filming it in 3 days. And this guy is very understandably saying, that's a big ask.
See, I think this is dramatization, but that does it's okay.
No, I think people are. Everything in the room looks too natural, and people's like she is not that good of an actress because she looks the way that that people who are used to getting their way look when you tell them they can't have something.
But why would they think to film the pitch before it's even pitched?
Oh, this is going on. I think they're all going around saying, we're filming this thing in 3 days. What's it going to be? And she's saying, I want to have 300 children in a room singing the song. And I think that was catching them off because she was one of the producers of this. I think that was the thing that they were talking about. Like, because they don't end up with 300 children in a room. They end up with 100 children. They talk her down to 100. Which
There's
is what you see.
300 people in that room.
No. And yes. So yeah, the composer isn't sure he wants to teach 300 children who have possibly never sung before to sing this song. And Robert Evans is like, now think about this. Now don't answer right away. Are you sure? Are you sure this is something that we can do?
I want you to make our dreams come true, or something like that. Like, you have a dream, and we're going to make this dream come true, or something. This is why I think it's like it all sounds like a script.
But that's how he spoke. That is how this guy spoke all the time. Also, he was in charge of editing, so he's going to put in whatever makes him look the coolest.
Like he didn't just get busted for $19,000.
Yeah,
of coke.
Yeah, you know.
And is this, by the way, is this interesting for kids? Are kids going to stop doing drugs because of this?
Oh, I think macro and micro kids are not into this. Kids don't want to see this behind the scenes meeting of how this song that they don't know yet was recorded. And also hearing a song titled Get High on Yourself is not going to keep a child from doing drugs.
But also the thing that is annoying, and we hear from a couple other people later about this phenomenon of drug dealers approaching children to get them high, to get them hooked. Like this whole like boogeyman way of how drugs is distributed and how kids get it. It's like it's never the way that they're, and you can see all the kids in the audience are just like when there were celebrities talking, like 9 out of 10 of them are just staring like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about. And then there's one kid who, like you said, who's just done like a rifle's worth of coke, and like everyone else is just like, this dude's freaking crazy. I would not take drugs from this dude.
What else do we see? We go to a gymnasium where it's like, quote, the audition. But apparently, if you're a child and you show up, you're just in this video.
Yeah. There weren't any kid celebrities, were there?
This is kind of where it gets tricky with there not being any title cards. Is because I think there are some. I know Patchett Brewster is in it somewhere. There are children's celebrities, but because they'd have just been kids on NBC shows, I don't know what they look like.
Okay.
So it just looked like a bunch of kids with feathered hair.
Right. I didn't see any one that I was like, oh, okay. Because then I thought like that would be a great way to get kids to not be interested in this if they know that there are celebrity kids not doing it too, as opposed to 90-year-old comedians.
You are not seeing, with the exception of, the celebrities they choose to focus on are not the celebrities that I think a child would be excited about.
No. And by the way, they, as part of the dramatization or whatever,
yes,
they call all the celebrities that they want to show up, and they all are like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, if I can get away, maybe I'll show up. They have to call one of them, and everyone there has to talk to him to convince him to come.
Well, the reenactment of celebrities being called, it's like, if it's for children, I'm in.
I know. Well, someone says that, and then he says, if I can make it, I'll make it.
Yeah. There's something fascinating. Again, there's no narrator. You're just kind of hearing the sound, the natural sound of these places kind of fading in and out in a way that I kind of liked, just because it was so bizarre and it sounds the way I remember things sounding.
They show all of the people in a room singing the song, and as they pan, it's like there's a directional mic.
Yes,
and it is picking up. Like you'll hear everyone sing, and then they kind of go by like Carol Burnett, and you can hear her voice real loud, almost as if it's an overdub. And then they move to another, like, they fades out, and they move into, and then it's Bob Hope, and he's going, be yourself, like, then you hear his voice, and then, and there's a lot of, I don't know if you want to jump straight to this, but Paul Newman's there, and they go over him, and he's just going, being yourself. Like, he has the lowest voice that's ever been. Like, he's like freaking, I read on that someone.
You're talking about whenever they're showing the song and they show a celebrity, they will play the celebrity's vocals. Yeah. So yes, when it's Hervé Villechaize, it's being yourself, and whenever it's Paul Newman, it's being yourself.
But by the way, Scott Bale's in the room, and why do they not zoom in on him, who has an album, and as you and I both know, can sing? We've seen him before singing. It's not fair to Scotty.
I more meant there's no background music in anything. Like when we're in this gym watching these kids audition, you're just hearing the noise bounce around the gymnasium and people shuffling around in a way that you would never do today. It would be wall to wall, like poppy background music, and make everyone look like they're having a really fun time. There's some of that, but there's also just shots of sweaty kids just kind of staring into the distance, bored, in a way that, like, that's how it is when you're at these things.
You can imagine the smell. It's like a Chuck E. Cheese, like just sweaty pizza.
And it's also where we first hear the song. So what do you think of the song Being Yourself or Get High on Yourself?
I'm into parts of it. I like the intro, and I like the chorus, the Being Yourself chorus. I don't care much for the what do they call that, like Tin Pan Alley kind of, or what you'd call that, like Disney kind of, the verses where it all kind of sounds like something you'd hear on a ride, just on an endless freaking loop.
It's very early 80s children's album style song, or McDonald's jingle.
Yeah, classic, like random kids record that you found in your parents' collection that I don't know why they own it.
Yeah, there's an album called like Peter Pan's Balloons and Such. It'll have this song on it.
Yeah, Miss Molly's Gorilla Junk. It's always so stupid. And then it's a song about the gorilla's junk and how it sings songs about cleaning your room.
Then we get footage of celebrities, whatever celebrities they could drag in on a day's notice to come and sing this song into a microphone. So we see Carol Burnett, the Fonz, Magic Johnson, Leif Garrett, Muhammad Ali, and Then they're like, oh, well, is he going to show up? Well, we gotta get him. And we go to the phones like, hey, buddy, how's it going? Hey, we really need some of your energy. Just come on down here. Yeah, come on down. And I'm going like, oh, is this like Bruce Springsteen or Michael Jackson or some giant music like person who they're gonna like get as their big score? Nope, it's moldy old Bob Hope, who just
back again.
Oh, we gotta get Bob Hope, and then they play piped in after in post. Thunderous applause and cheering when he walks. Every time the man walks into a room, they play the applause button on 11. The ego. I now hate Bob Hope because of this show, because he's just such an egomaniac, clearly. But it's NBC. It's NBC. That's the reason they are sucking up to him so bad.
Yeah, it's and then he's singing, and it's like he's doing that kind of like I just woke up kind of voice that he has.
Yeah, he's giving this, I would say, the proper amount of enthusiasm for what he's being asked to do, honestly. But it's just it's so funny, just the godlike reverence that they are treating Bob Hope with. And if you had not listened to our Bob Hope in China special, Bob Hope at this time had basically a lifetime contract with NBC where he got to do a special every single year of his life, which is why Bob Hope is, visibly dying on screen, and they prop him up next to a Christmas tree.
So after they show the making of, then they play the kind of music video.
Yes.
And that's where they're zooming in and zooming out.
Which is celebrities standing shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of children singing the song. And
then from here, do they just go back? They just go back to more like clips of like Burt Reynolds, right? Like there's like Burt Reynolds is telling this story where he's in a writer's room and everyone's smoking weed. And he's going, oh, man, I don't touch that stuff. I don't need that stuff. And I'm like, you are lying so freaking hard. Or you were just doing coke instead.
Well, it's such a relatable story to tell a 14-year-old that whenever I'm in the writer's room and the writers are pitching me a joke and they're high, I want to make sure that they're not just laughing because they're high.
Yeah, he says, that's not funny. That's only funny if you're high. What are we going to do? Give joints out to the entire audience?
Well, I did want to talk about the actual video itself with the song.
Yeah.
The two lead verse parts have been given to a little girl and a little boy, and the little boy has a higher voice than the little girl.
Yes,
he has like a little piccolo of a voice. And then we get into this is all pre We Are the World as well. This is one of the first let's gather celebrities to sing a syrupy song together for charity. Who looks like they want to be there the least? Paul Newman?
I mean, certainly you might say that if they got in someone to dub his voice afterwards, if that's not really his voice, which I don't know how deep Paul Newman's voice is.
Again, the man sounds like a cartoon giant.
Yes.
In this voiceover.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, he's still smiling. He seems fine. Maybe. I mean, I feel like Bob Hope is the one who's least feeling it. Everyone's smiling fine. Everyone's putting on a good face. But I feel like he's the most going like, oh, I wish I was dancing again or whatever. I don't know what he says to himself.
I noticed they did put two beautiful women on either side of him to keep him mildly interested.
Yeah, I can't imagine the hilarious jokes he told them the whole time.
Oh, Mark Hamill is there as well. You think maybe who is breezed over? You think maybe children would have been a little more excited to see Luke Skywalker in 1981 than Bob Hope?
He makes some kind of joke about it. Like he's just like something like talk about Star Wars or something.
No, he says, I'm glad we have other people singing. That's why Star Wars isn't. He said, I have a really bad voice. That's why Star Wars wasn't a musical.
That's right.
Yeah.
Every celebrity makes a joke about their voice not being good.
Yeah. And they're right.
Yeah.
And then when everything is done, everyone starts chanting Bobby, Bobby, Bobby and clapping for Robert Evans, convicted drug dealer. Well, yes, we do see Burt Reynolds rapping with the youth about what it's like to have somebody write a joke on Evening Shade. That's not funny unless you're high. But don't forget, we also see John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
Oh my gosh.
John Travolta.
I thought she was like Princess Diana in a couple of shots. I was like, Princess Diana's here? And then I thought, dang, why doesn't she play Princess Diana in a movie?
Yeah.
She's got the accent and everything.
Yeah. Writer.
Yeah, I will.
Boy, John Travolta, I mean, the guy is
everything
doing
he
his
says
best.
Is a lie in this.
He's doing his best. I really feel like
Everything he
he's
says-
trying and he's just bad at it.
He is lying, right? Like, I knew this guy. He was like the #1 basketball guy. And then I was like, hey, what's going on with this guy? And then I find out he's dying, and he died. And I was like, I'm not gonna do drugs because this guy was the best. And now I don't know.
I don't believe that he never did drugs. I do believe that he could have known somebody in high school who overdosed.
Yeah, but the story is too perfect. And I love. By the way, he says to these kids. By the way. He says, you're not, he says, like, it just messes with you, man. It's not the high. Like, the high is not the bad part. He says, like, something about it's not the feeling that you get from the drugs, like implying, like, that's great. It's afterwards when you come crashing down. He's like, you can't eat. You can't do. It's like, you can't have sex. It's like.
I forgot he does tell this group of children that it affects your sex performance.
Your sex life. And I think he flinches after he says it. I think. But there's a kid in there who was like, yeah, I used to sell drugs all the time, man. I was selling LSD acid every day, man. And you don't want to do it. It's like when I remember Burt Reynolds. He goes, yeah, man. It's like when these kids, like when I find out kids aren't doing it, I'm like, that's crazy, man. Because it was just so normal to me. And Burt Reynolds was like, well, yeah, let's not encourage them. Like he tries to, he gets the wrong idea about what the kid is saying, and he tries to rein it in.
Burt Reynolds is bad at this. He's really bad at it.
It made me think about when one time I used to have this horrible boss. I know, hard to believe, right? And he would always, whatever you said, he would always twist it to mean something bad and make him look like he was the good guy. Okay. And I remember one of my friends also worked there. It was a call center, and it was the end of the day, and he was a breakdancer. And there was this big open space, and they all convinced him to do some breakdancing. And so he was doing some stuff. And I leaned over to the boss because he came over and he was like just standing there trying to be chummy. And he said, he's pretty good. And I said, oh man, you think this is good? You should see what he really can do. And he goes, well, I think this is pretty good. like I was trying to say this isn't good. He was like, well, I think it is pretty good. Like that's what Burt Reynolds felt like.
He reminded me of a substitute teacher who did not know how to talk to kids.
Which is like every substitute I had when I was a teacher.
Yeah. We go to a church, and we get to see Al Jarreau and Peaches and Herb, and
this is the best part of the show, right?
It definitely demonstrates the best singing of the show.
Yeah, like everyone in this is like amazing and a pro, and like this music is great, and it's like, I don't know, it's black music, so it's amazing. Obviously, like everyone's at the top of their game. Like it's like this great R&B kind of version of this. It's not a version of Being Yourself, but it is a song that's positive lyrics, and everyone's just crushing it. You said it's Al Jarreau. Who else is in this?
Well, Peaches and Herb.
That's right. Yeah, Peaches and Herb. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure of who else is in it because, again, they don't introduce anybody.
But you just get the sense that there is a lot of famous people in there because
I
they
got
keep
that sense,
passing the
yes.
mic around. You're just like, oh, who's this random person who now has the microphone and sings amazing? Like, oh, they must be someone famous.
But again, like, yeah, it's well done. There's no beginning or end to any of these scenes. That's the other thing they have.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking to John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, there's no intro. We're plopped in the middle of their conversation with people. When we're watching these people sing in church, we are popped into the middle of this song. There's no explanation of anything. And then we see like sports superimposed over.
By the way,
all of them.
how bad were the Burt Reynolds and John Travolta scenes those are the
highlights.
best ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Was all the rest of it trying to get the kids just to not ask them questions about Greece?
Horse sex.
Yeah.
After Travolta like it just went off the rails at the end of that. Everyone's like, tell us a little bit more about the sex part.
Then we go to a rock concert for
this may be my favorite part. I'm not a fan of this person, although I know that he has a legacy that has contributed to but I am enjoying the music. I am enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah.
So let's get there.
Of course we're talking about Ted Nugent himself. Yeah. And I would say probably the only person in this special who is not on drugs or drinking during this special, as he famously was a teetotaler and influenced the straight edge movement.
And by the way, like, being that he is not on drugs, he is the only one who is seeing with clear eyes. Like he's at a live concert and he stops playing some song. He finishes a song and then he says to the audience, look, I don't know. They told me to do this. I got to do this thing. And it's like, trust me, it's not great. And he pulls out a boombox. He's like, look at this song. They want me to play this song. So I play the song. And he plays you can barely hear it, but it's a clip of being yourself. And he's like, everyone in the audience is booing the song.
Well, they're laughing because he's making like he's like mugging, like he's like twirling his fingers and crossing his eyes at how stupid he thinks the song is, which is funny. It is funny watching this man make fun of the song.
I'm so upset of his trajectory in life.
I can't believe that they played all this footage of him slamming this song and saying how dumb it is. I mean, it's hysterical, but
yes.
And
they could have just played his version of the song.
Yeah,
which was good. It was good.
I gotta say, he makes the song good. He's a good guitar player. Good song.
I was thinking about. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should go on iTunes. Like I've heard plenty of his music, but I was just like, this is not bad. Like maybe I'll go back and see what all the hubbub is.
He also does something that is my favorite thing to see people do who just don't care or have a lot of money, which is he plays the song on the little boom box. Yeah. And then when he's done playing it, he just goes, here you go. And he just tosses it into the crowd and somebody gets to keep it. Okay.
I mean, God forbid they have a sound guy in the back who can hit play on a tape recorder.
Well, yeah. I don't know quite what they had at this point. Then, boy, this special really runs out of steam because then we go to a campfire and somebody is singing "This Land Is Your Land."
Oh my gosh! Like now what's happening is you're getting into a whole part of the show that I don't even remember. Like it's so like when you said campfire, all of a sudden I remembered. Yeah, there is a country star there, right? There's a famous country person.
Somebody,
and and they are singing "This Land." Yes, that all of a sudden it's like I just had a like deja vu or something. That's what that felt like. Because I so checked out of this thing.
Yeah, I mean they're just kind of playing all the runoff now. We go to another concert where Leif Garrett and some other people sing the most deflavorized, bland, up with people version of "With a Little Help from My Friends."
Oh, that's right. Because they're talking about, isn't it like one of Peaches and Herb or something? Or something? I don't know.
No. I looked up who it was and it's gone from my brain now.
Okay. But yeah, it's like they're saying, one of the lyrics is get high with a little help with my friends. But what I mean it to mean is.
Yeah, getting high can mean a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean it what it's not saying in the song.
Then we go back to the church for a minute and we get a little bit more of the same. And then that's it. It's just done. It ends in the church.
Don't they run a list of the people on it in the credits?
They do. I'm looking at it right now because Susan Richardson. Like BJ Thomas. I don't. Natalie Wood was in this? Wow, I did not see her. Yeah, sorry. I'm watching them all go by me right now. Robbie Benson. Bruce Jenner is in this?
Yes, he's the
Oh.
Okay. So I don't want to dead name someone or something.
Sure.
She is doing the Olympics. Like I kept saying, like I think that's Jenner. I think that's Jenner. Right?
Okay. Got it. So they played
they're showing clips from all of athletic.
Got it.
All of her Olympic achievements.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's it. The drug haze is over. They leave you alone.
And then so this was just the kickoff, by the way, to a whole week of stuff that I hope we can find and do on this show. With tons of like TV specials throughout the week.
They also
and no chips, sadly.
They also played the song and the video for Get High on Yourself every hour.
Oh, that's right.
I believe after 6 p.m. on
okay,
NBC.
Wait a second. What? Okay. Is that okay? So I was thinking about that too, but I thought I read that it was that they played a commercial for this week every hour leading up to it. Are you saying that instead that it was actually that they played this video during the week?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Just goes to show you can't trust what people say because people get different ideas from the same freaking words on a blog. I obviously did not read this thing correctly.
I was just imagining how sick of hearing this song people must have been by the end of Get High on Yourself week.
Do 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 do.
Should we record a version of this song at some point?
We'll get all of our famous podcasting friends together.
Yeah. I'll get Ira Glass.
Yeah.
Who else can I put a call
Okay,
to?
you get him.
I'll see how Rogan's feeling.
I'll get the Legion of Skanks.
Who else? All the Cometown Boys, of course.
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, absolutely want to get him to play the little boy.
Tom Segura.
We'll unlock the gates. We'll get Marin.
Unlock him. Rogan, if he hasn't passed away from
Yes.
ivermectin.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'll see how he's feeling.
Yeah, it sounds great. Jordan Peterson, maybe.
I'd only agree to this if it was court ordered.
It might be for some of these guys.
Well, good news, Jeremy. I have a very large order on hold right now, if you know what I mean. So we'll see how it goes.
Night court ordered.
Oh, if we do not get a Stoney appearance this episode, I will be very upset.
That's right. Well,
very upset.
What did you want to know?
Do you know? Is he here?
He's. I can get him in here, but what did you want to know?
Well, I was just going to ask him how he likes to get high on himself.
Sure, let me ask him.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, it's Stoney. As I always say when I enter a room, it's Stoney.
You do, and it is always charming. Every time.
Yeah. Would you want to know?
I'm just curious if you had seen the special and how you responded to the question of how you can get high on yourself.
Oh yeah, you know that kid who looked like he was sweating through the 3 layers of overalls he was wearing, listening to Burt Reynolds. Yeah,
The
that's
cool
my
kid.
dad,
Oh, nice.
Toki.
Toki?
Yeah.
Actually, I got a quick question. How much of yourself do you need to do in order to get a buzz?
These days, I imagine it's a lot.
It's pretty pure now. You can get a pretty good distillation of yourself to get high on.
Yeah, the technology has really advanced.
Yeah. I put a little of myself in a centrifuge and it extracts all the essential oils I can use to get high on myself.
Do you have your own hadron collider for weed?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Are you kidding me?
You found a way to like split the atom of weed and it makes it so much more stronger.
Yeah, I have my special, my Nugent strain.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great joke. That's
Pretty
a great
funny, right?
reference. Yeah. Really stick it to him.
Yeah. There's one guy who has his head on straight. It's Ted Nugent.
Yeah, I always wonder what kind of low place he would be if he actually had done drugs.
Man, he'd be nuts. All right, I'm taking off.
Okay.
All this talk
See you later.
about getting high has given me an idea.
See you later, Stoney.
Bye, Stony. All right. Well, Nathan, is there any final thoughts that you have about get high on yourself?
Don't do drugs, kids. And if you are going to, don't do them in such quantities as to alert the authorities.
This special reminded me that I am so glad I no longer have to watch confusing drug PSAs that are supposed to be aimed towards children, because they really just did more to confuse me than they did teach me anything.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast, on I don't know, where do they have them on Alta Vista? Do they have a service there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You can get web crawler us.
Yeah, wherever you get your podcast, go in there, write a review, write only 5-star good ones.
Yes.
And go on Amazon. Go on Amazon, write a review for a product you like as well. If you've purchased it though, don't do fake ones.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. And of course, as always, be yourself. Be yourself. Do 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 do.
Signing off from Paul Newman.
Bye.
Bye.